Hey guys, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah and I am one half of Occupied Mind. My other half, Jill, lives in Nova Scotia, otherwise she would definitely be here with me today if I could convince her to be on camera. And what we want to do is create a little bit of content outside of just posting on Instagram and selling shirts that you could use for your own lives. And today's topic, in line with what we've already posted on Instagram, is how to manifest a life that you love out of the shit that you hate. The reason why I want to talk about this is because I've been reflecting a lot on where I was almost like a year ago and 2 years ago and 3 years ago, and how I've actually managed to manifest many of the things that I really wanted then. So one of the things that I wanted was to work remotely. I really wanted to work at home so that I could be with my dog, and also just like be able to cook nice food, be in my own space, not have to be surrounded by a ton of people in an office, have the time to maybe create a business. And I didn't think that I would ever be able to do that, because anytime I looked at remote jobs, they weren't in the right salary range, they weren't in the right skill set that I really, had or that I wanted to develop, and nothing really seemed right until I found this job, which I'm currently working right now. I'm taking a quick BRB to make this video, but I work remotely, and I've manifested that. And the way that I manifested that was working jobs that I fucking hated. The first thing that happened was when I was a professional fundraiser. I got this email one day that said, like, hey, respond to this email about going to Cuba to, do some groundwork for an organization, and give us the reasons why you think you'd be a good fit, and then we'll get back to you. And it was kind of like a little contest. It was all paid for. And when I read that email, this overwhelming sense of I am going to go to Cuba and do this, like I just knew it, totally rushed through my body, and in the form of like chills, which, side note, chills are actually a physical manifestation of your intuition. So anytime you get chills when you're thinking about doing something, that's actually a sign that you should do it, because your higher self knows that and is trying to communicate that with you, that you're meant to move in that direction. So, got chills, and then I immediately started typing up a reason why I wanted to go to Cuba, and why it was important that I went, and why I was a good fit. Anyway, I get to Cuba, and I meet this girl, and we connect right away, and she starts talking about how she's, life coaching, and that she wants to quit her job and do this full time, and anyway, the conversation kind of started then and there, and when we left Cuba, our connection still remained, and we talked all the time. But the role that she played in my life then was very much life coaching style, not business coaching style, as she does now. But what I realized is that was like a marker or like a checkpoint for me to reach to get me to the next point. So I needed to go to Cuba to meet this person who would later, 2 years later, I'd be living in her house, and she'd be helping me build and run my own business. So yes, look for those checkpoints. Figure out when you want to take action. If you get chills, take that as a sign, as intuition, and then move forward. And the only way that you're going to know that is just by simply doing it. So another thing that I did, I was walking around in my apartment with my partner, and I just stormed into the bathroom when she was in there, and I was like, we need to start a website. We're starting a blog. We need to get our ideas, our content out in the world. I know it may not be something that is actually successful and that we stick with for our lives, but maybe it's something that we can do remotely, and trying to brainstorm ways in which we didn't have to go work for a company that we didn't even like, but actually work on the road and do things that we really love to do while still being creative. She's like, what do you mean create a blog? Anyway, we had a good conversation, came up with a blog, which has since died. We only wrote one post. But the point is that building that blog and building that website actually taught me how to build a website. So then a couple of months later, when I was looking into applying to the current job that I have, the experience that I had in running that single blog post and building that one website actually played a pretty big factor in my ability to get the job that I'm currently working. So that's just another example. And there are, what am I going to say next? Oh, okay. And the next thing that I wanted to say was that, instead of having this fuck you mindset, which is not very productive, you have to start thinking of your life as a game. So anytime that I would walk into the job that I hated, my last job, instead of thinking, okay, it's only X amount of hours until I get home, I thought, what can I do in this time frame that will get me closer to where I want to be? So is it going to be, building a website? Is it going to be creating content? We even started creating an app. Like, we were just trying to get some stuff out into the world and get those wheels turning, to try and figure out like where it is that we were meant to be moving and start, funneling down that vision. I did some, pretty crazy stuff. In the run of a day, it was like I worked my full job, but then I also accomplished 6 or 7 hours of some other stuff. And I get that not every job that everybody else works gives you that time, space, and opportunity to do that. But there's a way that you can look at the environment that you're in as like a conscious framework that is testing you. So think of yourself as in almost like a lab where you get to interact with other people and other situations in whatever way that you want. You can test your ideas in different ways. You can test your skill sets. So you can test how good you are at sales. You can test how good you are at communicating with others, how good you are at helping others with personal issues. The list kind of goes on. But the point is to not go into your job and just waste your 7 hours, or not, waste time in whatever situation it is that you don't want to be in. But use that unfavorable or undesirable circumstance to pull value from, and ask yourself the important questions, what is it that I'm going to learn today? Is a really good one. I found it very, very helpful. What can I learn today that's going to get me closer to where I want to be? And if you don't even know where you want to be, which is kind of where I was at, it's just, what can I do today? What can I learn today that is in line with the things that I really love, that I'm obsessed with, that I think about all the time, and how can I get closer to that? How can I bring more of that into my life? That's basically what Jill and I wanted to bring to the table was, what can you do in the present moment to actually reach your next checkpoint? Who can you meet? Take a look around at the employees or the customers that you interact with every day. Who there is a little token that your higher self is sending your way, the universe is sending your way to get you to that next point. Pay closer attention to the relationships that you're building in your current life, and who there can you potentially collaborate with or learn from, or simply just be reassured by. Sometimes when my partner and I really needed reassurance last year that we were on the right path, we simply just asked, hey universe, it would be great if you could just send a sign that we're on the right path, we're doing the right thing. And then we would go for a walk with our dog, and then, no joke, in a park, we would meet a random woman. We met a random woman, and she talked about how there are so many young-minded people who are wasting their energy and their focus and creativity in things that are for companies that don't actually care about them. And we had an amazing conversation about the things that we imagine doing. We talked about this blog that we launched 2 days before, just random stuff. And she was so impressed with what we were doing, and that gave you that reassurance. And don't be afraid to ask for it, because when people give you that boost of energy, that's going to push you forward into doing more of what you like, and eventually you won't need to look for it or ask for it as often. But if you ever need a little sign or a little pump of the tires, definitely reach out to me or to Jill, because that is the shit that we do like. Anyway, hope you have a great day. Bye guys.